start by massaging our foot. And one of the interesting things about our feet is, especially from traditional Chinese medicine, it's assumed that everything, I muted you, Sandy, you're good. Everything is assumed to start and end in our feet. So there's really this line of connection that begins at the end, if it makes any type of sense. And you're just giving yourself the opportunity to massage your foot in whatever way feels best to you. Maybe taking some ankle circles, maybe not. But you're just allowing yourself to see what the feet are doing. And then once you're done with one foot, you'll go ahead and switch to the other side. And you're just popping any little bones that feel like they need to pop and rolling the joints around. And just starting to notice here how you're even relating to yourself. How is the breath in the body? How are you mashing on your foot? Is it a kind mash or is it a vengeful mash? Just notice what's happening there. And then once you're done, you'll go ahead and plant both feet on the floor. And we'll start by tucking your right leg underneath your left leg and crossing your left foot to the outside edge of your right foot. And if you need to sit up on a blanket, by all means, please go ahead and sit up on a blanket. But we're just going to take a little gentle hug of your left knee into your chest and sit as tall as you can. And over the next series of 5 to 10 breaths, you'll start to rotate to your left. So maybe your left hand will come back behind you, but you're just pulling the belly in on the left side and wrapping your right ribs towards that inner left thigh, and just pausing and breathing, noticing what's happening on that outer left hip, seeing if you can soften any tension away from your left shoulder and maybe peer over your left shoulder towards the back of your space. Nice work. And on your next inhale, gently come back through center. If you need to, extend your right leg long and cross your left knee directly on top. Great. And then from here, we'll just take a little bit of a side bend over to your right. So your left arm comes up and overhead, and you're pausing and you're breathing. And just push down into the right hand so it feels like your left ribs bow out towards the left and maybe up towards the sky a little bit. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. And then on your next inhalation, just gently come up. Okay, from here, you're going to bend your left knee in. You might need to bend your right knee if it's straight and swing your left heel behind you. So we're going for that weird figure 4 dancer quad stretch. And then you lift your pelvis up, slide your pelvis forward, and start to walk back perhaps to your elbows. So we're doing a trip around the hip in Christina Sell language. And I want you to notice what's happening on the front of your left quad. Make sure it's not up at the hip and not at the knee, but really in the belly of the thigh. And you'll just take a few moments to pause and breathe here. Notice if you can push down into the forearms and maybe puff the chest up just a bit. And then very mindfully, we'll come back out. Bring both legs in front of you, Dandasana staff pose. And then you'll take some little wrist circles as you circle your ankles around as well. And go the other way. And then we'll try the other side. So this time your right knee will come in towards your chest. You'll cross it to the outside edge of your left thigh and maybe swim that left foot outside of your right hip. Great. And then you just start by sitting super tall, hugging everything in towards the midline, lifting up through the spine. And gradually you'll start to rotate, your chest towards the right. And you're just doing that by pulling the belly in on the right side, and your left ribs, left armpits come to that inner right knee, right foot presses down. And then noticing if you can continue to lift through the chest as you breathe into the back of the body, breathe into the ribs. Nice work. Next inhalation, gently come back through center. If you need to, extend your left leg long and then stack your right knee straight on top. From there, we'll take a little side bend to the left arm out to the left, right arm reaches up and overhead, and you're pushing down into the left hand. So it feels like your right ribs bow out to the right and slightly up towards the sky. And it just creates a little bit more space in the intercostals. And then notice if you can soften any tension around your neck and around your face and your mouth. Nice work. Go ahead and inhale, come up. Grab that right knee, hugging the knee into the chest. If you need to, you'll bend the left knee out to the left and then swim your right knee back behind you just a bit. From there, hands come behind you, lift your pelvis up, slide your tailbone forward, and maybe lower down onto your forearms or lower down onto your back if that's available to you at this moment in time. But you're paying attention to what's happening in the front of your right quad, trying to target the sensation in the middle, and you can roll a little to the left if that helps you target it, or just stay exactly as you are. Nice work. All right, gently come out of that. Go ahead and come back up to sit and extend both of your legs long in front of you. And this time you're just going to take a few little neck circles and shoulder circles, seeing how that feels in your body. Awesome stuff. And then from here, plant both feet on the floor. Hands come to the front of your shin bone. Pull your hands back to lift your chest up and take a big breath in. And then as you exhale, start to curl your tailbone under around through your spine. You've got two more like that. So inhale, pull the hands, lift up through the chest, reach the heart forward. And exhale, round through the spine, lean back. And last one, inhale, pull to lift up. And exhale, curl to round back. Go ahead and stay rounded. Hook both of your thumbs and reach your arms in front of you. And now pull with your hands as much as you can, and then notice what happens if you draw your thumbs over to the right or over to your left. And you're just breathing into the back of the body, noticing that you can adjust the height of the arms, and that changes where you feel stuff in the back body. And on your next inhalation, you'll reach the arms so far forward that they pull the spine all the way up. Awesome sauce. Release your hands back behind you. Walk your feet in just a bit and make sure your fingertips point towards the front of your space. Hug the elbows towards each other, push down through the hands and press your chest forward towards your knees. Inhale, push through the feet, lift the hips high. And then exhale, lower your pelvis back down. Inhale, lift up through the chest. And now exhale, push down through the hands, lift the hips high. And we'll do one more of those. Inhale, lower the pelvis down, lift the chest high. And exhale, push through the hands, lift the hips high. Okay, we're going to add on. Inhale, lower the pelvis down to the floor. As you exhale, hug your knees to your chest, hands to the fronts of your shins, feet hover. Nice job. Lower the feet back down, lower the hands back down. Inhale here. And then exhale, push through the hands, lift the hips. Awesome stuff. Inhale, lower the pelvis back down. Exhale, hug your knees to your chest, feet maybe hover a little higher this time. Great. Inhale, replant the feet, replant the hands, lift the chest. And exhale, push through the feet, push through the hands, lift the hips. Okay, we'll do a few more of those. Inhale, lower the pelvis down. Exhale, hug your knees to your chest. And this time, maybe your shins are parallel to the floor. Yay. Inhale, lower the feet down, lower the hands down, lift your chest. And then exhale, push through the feet, lift the hips high. We'll do two more. Inhale, lower down. Exhale, knees to chest, maybe straighten the legs a little higher up. There we go. Inhale, feet down, hands down. Exhale, pelvis up. This is our last set. Inhale, lower the pelvis down. Exhale, knees to chest. Nice work, guys. Inhale, lower the feet down. Lower the hands down. This time, as you exhale and lift, we're going to stay here for 3 breath cycles. So push down through the feet, push down through the hands, and see if you can hug your shoulder blades onto your back body. Slide the buttocks flush down to your knees and push down through the index fingers and thumbs a little bit more. Take in a deeper breath. And on your next in-breath, slowly lower the pelvis back down to the floor. And then exhale, you'll hug your knees into your chest, grab onto your legs, maybe near the ankles, maybe near the knees, and we're going to start to straighten the legs. And they don't have to straighten all the way. You're just going to straighten them as much as you want. And then we're going to hold here, maybe hovering the hands for 3 breath cycles. And you're just reaching out through the hands, top of the sacrum still coming forward, and you're finding how all of this is connected. Big, big breath. Nice job. On your next exhale, cross at the ankles and come over onto hands and knees. Once you find yourself on hands and knees, you might pad your knees if your knees happen to be sensitive, or you might not. But we're going to take a few moments to just check in with our body. Do you need to open up the backs of the wrists by turning the palm to face up to the sky? Do you want to walk out the wrist by turning the fingers out to the right and to the left and walking the fingers in and out? Well, you're taking the next 3 to 5 breaths, just checking in with your hands, checking in with your body, noticing that all of this is connected. Nice work. When you feel complete with what you're doing, find your way back to a neutral tabletop position. Make sure your hands are directly underneath your shoulders and spread wide through your fingers, your knees directly underneath your hips. Now, as you inhale, slide your right arm forward and your left foot back and let both of those hover off the floor. And then exhale, lower the limbs back to the floor. And then we'll switch sides. Inhale, right leg goes back, left arm comes forward. And exhale, lower the limbs back down. And you've got 3 more sets on your own. So inhale, right arm, left leg. And exhale, limbs down. And then inhale, right leg, left arm. And exhale, limbs down. 2 more. Inhale, left leg, right arm. And exhale, down. And inhale, right leg, left arm. And exhale, down. And last set, we're going to hold. So inhale, send your right arm forward, your left leg back, pause. Square your hips to the floor. Reach out through your right pinky finger. Yep, and lift up through your inner left thigh. Push down to the left hand. Breathe for 3. And breathe for 2. And breathe for 1. Lower the limbs down and switch sides. Inhale, send the right leg back, left arm forward. Square your hips to the floor. Press down into your right arm, left shin. Reach your left pinky finger forward. And you've got 3. Keep hugging front ribs in and back for 2. Tailbone lengthens back for 1. And exhale, lower the limbs down. Now take 3 breath cycles to do any weird fidgeting you want. Maybe cats and cows, maybe a twist, maybe a sway in the body, but just notice what you notice. Everything is connected. And it's one of those things that for me, I'm finding the challenge of how do you retain authenticity? How do you show up fully in every single connection that you have so that it can be a serving experience, so that it can be enjoyable and pleasant? And really it requires first and foremost that we know ourselves on some small level and have a willingness to learn where we don't. Cool. All right, let's go ahead and come to a neutral spot. Walk your hands forward about 2 inches and spread wide through your fingers. From here, tuck both sets of toes under and gaze forward to the top of your space. And exhale, press your pelvis up and back. Keep your knees super bent to make your way to a downward facing dog shape. So the knees are super bent here, and I'd like you to just take 3 slow breath cycles, slowly pedaling through your feet. So one knee is always bent, and then the other leg is straight, and you're just noticing the connection now that you have between your hands and your feet and the floor, and then how those points ripple up through the spine, through the legs, through the back. Awesome sauce. When you feel pretty balanced between the sides, go ahead and come to a still neutral spot. Keep your knees bent for just a moment longer. Press the index fingers of your thumbs down and lift up through the side waist, lifting up through the hips. Great. Now inhale, come forward into plank pose, Balankhasana. Hooray, pause here. Push down through the hands a lot, lift up through the inner thighs and lengthen your tailbone back. Reach your heart and sternum forward, yep, and take in a deeper breath. On your next exhale, bend your knees and lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Keep your knees this bent and start to walk your hands back towards your feet. And you'll notice that when you get back to the back of your feet, let your chest rest on your thighs so the knees are as bent as they need to be. You might grab opposite elbow and slowly pull one elbow down towards the floor, feeling a nice little release on the back. You might pull the other elbow down towards the floor. You might decide that you'd like to release your hands to the floor and once again, slowly straighten one leg and slowly straighten the other leg. But you've got 2 to 3 more breath cycles here, and you're just noticing what it feels like to find now the connection to the floor. Our ability to connect to ourselves, to stand in our own truth, gives us the opportunity to connect to another, to stand in the truth of another. And so we're just seeing what we notice here. Awesome sauce. Go ahead and come to a still neutral spot. Release your hands towards the floor. From here, slide your hands up your shins. Inhale, lift your spine halfway. And then exhale, pause here. Press your shins forward. Push your hands back. Press down evenly into your feet. Now slide your shoulders away from your ears and then hug them onto your back body as you reach your heart and sternum forward. Draw your hands to your hips. And then inhale, lever the spine up to vertical. Great. Keep your hands on your hips for a moment and just push down so you can feel that rooted through your hips. And then release your arms. Press down through the feet, push down through the legs, push down through the pelvis, and lift up through the spine. Now inhale, sweep your arms up and overhead. And as you exhale, grab your left wrist. Inhale, push down through the limbs, reach up through the arm, and exhale, little side bend towards the right. And then you'll inhale and come out of it just a bit. And exhale, go into it a little further. You've got one more set like that. So inhale, coming out just a little bit. And then exhale, deepening the side bend. And we'll stay here for about 3 breaths. Think of inner spiraling your leg. Continue to lengthen your tailbone down and hug your front left ribs back as your bottom right ribs come forward. Nice work. Inhale, come up through vertical. And then as you exhale, just lower your hands alongside your hips and notice what you notice between the right and the left side. Maybe fidgeting a little bit if that feels like it might help the body settle. And then we'll try the other side. So inhale, sweep both arms up and overhead. As you exhale, grab your right wrist, push down through the limbs, reach up through the arms, and exhale, little side bend over to the left. Inhale, come out just a bit. And exhale, deepen the side bend, and we just have one more. Inhale, coming out just a bit. And then exhale, deepening the side bend to the left. Continue to roll your inner thighs back, lengthen your tailbone down, and press into your right foot a lot. Now draw your bottom left ribs forward and your front right ribs back and say hello to your side body. Next in breath, go ahead and come up to vertical. And then exhale, lower your hands alongside your hips and pause. Notice if you need to fidget again or if things feel a little bit more stable now. Now you can bring your hands to your hips and just hug your elbows back towards each other, or you can interlace your hands for this next part. It totally depends upon you. But we're just going to take a few pliés in ballet land. So you'll bend your knees and then straighten your legs. And you're just doing this with your breath. And 3 more, bending your knees. Love it, Sandy. So your feet can stay parallel, or you could turn them out. And then bend your knees and straighten the legs. Now for these next 3, you might start to add a releve. So you'll bend your knees and then you'll straighten your legs and maybe press onto the tips of your toes. And then lower the feet back down, bending the knees, straightening the legs, press to the balls of your feet. And last 2, lower the heels, bend the knees, straighten the legs, press up to releve, balls of feet, and then lower down. Great. Now inhale, bend your knees quite a bit. So we're going for that 90-degree angle. From here, your hands can stay on your hips and you can just hug those elbows towards each other or interlace the hands if you have it. And then start to pull your thumbs if the hands are interlaced behind you so your chest starts to come forward. Continue to bend your knees as best as you can, sliding those knees over the toes and hugging your outer hips in. Great. From there, release the hands and swim them forward. Hook your thumbs and then start to pull the hands forward again like we did when we were sitting on our butt, and see if that allows you to sit your butt a little lower. And then maybe you can sit the butt even lower as you reach the arms up and alongside your ears. And you've got 3, you've got 2, and you've got 1. Exhale, fold forward at your hips, hands come to the floor. Great. Inhale, crawl yourself forward into plank pose, fallen kasana. And then we're going to pause here. Press down through the hands, lift up through the armpits. Next, in breath, shift your weight forward and slower than you want to, lower all the way onto your belly. Knees might lower first or legs might stay long. Nice job, guys. When you arrive, extend the tops of the feet onto the floor. Make sure the hands are alongside the ribs. And you'll take 4 cobras on your own, pulling the hands back, reaching the heart and sternum forward. And you guys are very skilled at this. So you know where to engage your body, and you're just connecting that to the breath, letting it all happen at the pace that it needs to happen for you. Noticing that you don't need to rush, that most of the time when we feel most connected to another person, time seems to disappear. We don't need to rush. We don't need to slow down. Things just happen at their own pace. Nice. And after you've taken your 4th one, you'll just go ahead and remain on your abdomen. Tuck the toes under and energize your legs. Draw the shoulders up towards your ears and draw the shoulder blades onto your back. Now lift your head in line with the tops of your shoulders and then engage the core. And with that engagement, press through the feet, push through the hands, lift up to plank pose. Nice job. Exhale, bend your knees and hips high, downward facing dog. 3 breaths. Noticing what you notice now about the hamstrings, noticing what you notice now about the armpits. Can they stay lifted? Yep, as the triceps wrap back. Great. Bend your knees quite a bit and exhale, walk your hands back towards your feet. Inhale, halfway lift, Ardha Uttanasana. And exhale, fold all the way in. Inhale, sit, Utkatasana, chair pose. Awesome. And then inhale, stand up, reach up, look up, Urdhva Hastasana. And exhale, hands through heart center alongside your hips. Okay, we'll try that one more time. So hands to your hips or hands to the low back, wherever you want, but you'll inhale and bend your knees pretty deeply. As you exhale, hug the elbows back towards each other, lift the chest up. Next, in breath, release the hands and let them come forward. Take the awkward opposite thumb lace. And then reach your hands forward to sit your pelvis back. It's almost like a lever. And then notice if you can start to reach the arms alongside the ears as you continue to sit low into your hips, reaching out through the pinky fingers to lengthen your side body. And then exhale, fold forward at your hips once again. Great. Inhale, walk forward into plank pose. And as you exhale, stay here, finding the connection to the breath. Next, in breath, shift your weight forward. As you exhale, lower through Chaturanga, and then inhale into upward facing dog. Nice job. Nice. Exhale, slowly lower all the way to your abdomen, and then make your way through a plank back to downward facing dog. And then you'll just pause and you'll breathe and you'll notice what you notice on this side. How are you connected to the breath in the body right now? How can we imagine that we're all breathing the same rate, same breath? All right, this next sequence could potentially be a little tricky, so listen closely. Inhale, lift your right leg up and back. And as you exhale, quietly step that right foot between your hands. Now take a moment to pause once you get there. Step that left foot back as much as you need to find a stretch on the inside edge of your back thigh. Let the right knee come forward and then push down into both feet to lift the pelvis, but allow the back left thigh to start to descend towards the floor. If this is enough activation for you, you'll just keep drawing that outer right hip back and stay here breathing into the front of your left thigh. Or you might walk your hands up to the front middle of your thigh and bring your spine all the way up to vertical. But you've got 3 breath cycles here, just pausing and breathing and saying hello to the front of that left hip. Nice job. Now, if you came vertical, slowly lower your hands back down to the floor. Bend your back knee and lower the back knee to the floor. Pad the back knee if you need to, otherwise just keep it as it is. And then bring both hands to the front center of your right thigh. Now push down into your right foot, push down into your left foot, step those points together and see if you can lift up through the spine. Lengthen your tailbone down and draw the pubic bone up to belly button. Inhale, sweep both of your arms up and overhead for Anjaneyasana. And as you exhale, grab your left wrist and little side bend over to the right. Keep pulling your left knee forward, your right outer hip back, and squeeze your left butt cheek for dear life. Next in breath, come up through vertical. Now as you exhale, just like we did with the twist, pull your right low belly back, your left shoulder forward, and then release your arms so they're parallel to the floor. Now you can stay here and just simply slide that left hand outside of the right knee and take a twist here, or bring your left hand to the inside edge of your right foot. Now, if you've taken that option, you might slide your back knee back and then spin to the outside edge of your right heel to find a nice little stretch. There we go. Yep. And if you're happy there, you stay there. You might bend the back knee and grab the outside edge of your left foot with your right hand, but you're just pausing and you're breathing and you're noticing what you notice. Yep. Keep the chest open, the heart coming forward. There you go. Nice. And then very gently, if you've taken that back foot, release the back foot. Shift your weight back and straighten your front leg. Hands on blocks might be super awesome here or not. But you'll straighten your front leg super long, pull all 5 toes back towards your face, and then notice if you want to just stay still here, if it feels nice to externally rotate the right leg, meaning you roll to the pinky toe edge side of the foot, and then maybe come back to center a few times. You're just noticing what your hamstrings are doing here. Keep pulling all 5 toes back towards your face. Awesome. Okay. Now from here, highly encourage the use of your blocks. I would encourage you to turn your blocks up to the highest setting. And then you'll cross your right ankle in front of your left thigh. Great. You might lower the blocks down, lower your forearms down, and we've got this weird figure 4 shape happening in our legs. And I want you to just notice what feels good to you here. Make sure the right toes are curled under, the right ankle is pressing against the left thigh is pushing against the right ankle. And you can notice that you can move that left knee up or down or front or back a little bit, and that'll get a different part of your hip. Great. Very mindfully, hands will probably come back onto your blocks. And then you'll step your right leg back behind you for bird dog, releasing hands back down to the floor and pause. So right leg floating back behind you, left arm can come forward if you'd like, and you'll parallel the legs and the hips and breathe for 3, and breathe for 2, and breathe for 1. Lower the limbs down, tuck both sets of toes under and lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog, and pause and breathe. That was a complicated thing. And you'll just notice what you notice, how the body's feeling now. Okay, let's try the other side. Inhale, lift your left leg up and back. And then exhale, quietly step that left foot between your hands. Nice. Once you get there, you'll either have to walk the left foot forward a bit or just slide the right leg back a bit until you find that you have a nice stretch happening across the front of your back leg. Press down into your front foot, push down into your back foot, lift the pelvis up, or rather lift up through that inner right thigh and lengthen your tailbone back. Great. You can stay here or walk your hands up the front thigh. And then you might also bring the spine all the way up to vertical, but you're still pressing down through both feet. You're hugging that outer hip back, and you're just noticing what you notice. Great. If you're vertical, bring the hands back down to the floor, lower your back knee to the floor, and then bring your spine up to vertical, both hands on the center of your left thigh. Okay. Now again, push down to front foot, push down to back foot, hug those points together. Lengthen your tailbone straight down as you draw your pubic bone to your belly button. From there, inhale, sweep your arms forward and up. And as you exhale, grab your right wrist and reach it up and over towards the left a little bit. Keep squeezing your back butt cheek as you draw your outer right hip forward, outer left hip back. Nice. Inhale, come up through vertical. As you exhale, pull the belly in on the left side to rotate your right shoulder towards that inner left knee, and then open the arms parallel to the floor. You can slide that right hand outside of your left knee and stay there, or bring that right hand to the inside edge of your left foot, and maybe a little bit more towards the right. From there, you might find that you lift to the outer edge of your left foot and let the left knee roll to the left a bit. Yep, and you might bend the back knee and grab the outside edge of the right foot with your left hand. Wherever you are, keep pushing down into the right hand to lift the right armpit up, and that allows the right chest to come to the inside edge of the left thigh, and you can rotate through the chest for this twisted monkey variation. Nice. If you have the back knee or back ankle, gently release the foot. Start to straighten the front leg and square your hips towards the floor. Hands might come to blocks as a happy help. And then you'll flex through that left foot, pulling the toes up towards your face. You feel it on the inside, Sandy? Cool. So for you, you might try to walk your left foot to the left a little, and then roll to the outside edge of your left foot. That's definitely going to make that a little bit more intense. Yeah, you can externally rotate if you want, or not, that works too. And you're just paying attention. Rolling the leg in and out a little bit just gives you a different notion of what's happening in your hamstrings. Cool. And once you feel complete, go ahead and come to a still neutral spot. Highly encourage you to turn the blocks to the highest setting. And then draw the left foot to the top of the right thigh, tucking the toes under for that weird figure 4 thing. And then maybe you lower the blocks to the floor. Maybe you lower the hands to the floor. Maybe you lower the forearms to the floor. But you're noticing what feels good on your outer left hip. Continuing to push the left ankle into the right thigh into the left ankle. And even noticing if you pulse a little forward and back, how that changes things. Okay. Very mindfully, hands will probably need to come back to the blocks as you come back to hands and knees. And then you'll slide that left leg back behind you, coming back to bird dog, both hands on the floor perhaps, or maybe the right arm extending in opposition forward. And you'll pause for 3. You'll pause for 2. You'll pause for 1. Lower the limbs down. And then press yourself back to downward facing dog and just pause and breathe and notice what you notice here. Now, if you keep the knees bent for just a bit, you can spiral your inner thighs back And then push the hands down and forward. And then maybe start to straighten the heels, or rather press the heels back behind you and maybe down towards the floor. Great. Okay. Let's go ahead and come forward now back into plank. And then go ahead and lower all the way down to your abdomen. And then find your way into a Sphinx pose. Okay. Separate your feet so they're about hip distance apart. And then let's see if your inner thighs can roll up to the ceiling just a little bit more. So the pinky toes and the big toes press evenly into the floor, tops of the feet press into the floor. Now push down through your forearms. Exhale, tuck your chin to your chest and look to your pubic bone. Maybe lift the pelvis up. And then inhale, lower the pelvis back down and come back to that Sphinx pose. And you've got about 5 to 10 of these. So you'll exhale, push through the floor, round through the spine, maybe lift pelvis, maybe lift thighs, maybe lift legs. And inhale, return back. And you've got quite a few more on your own. And you're just noticing what you notice, following your own breath, trying to find a little bit of core engagement by pushing down through the forearms, curling into the spine, lengthening your buttocks flesh back towards your heels. Nice. Let's take 3 more. Exhaling, rounding through the spine, lengthening buttocks flesh back, maybe lifting legs off the floor, knees off the floor. And we'll call this our last one. Great. And then once you find yourself back in Sphinx, spread wide through your hands, pull your hands back, your heart isometrically forward. Now take your left hand over towards your right hand, bend your right knee and grab your right foot with your right hand. Now you're paying attention to how this feels. We've done quite a few quad things today, and just notice what this feels like. Push down into your left forearm, lift up through your chest and see if you can square your right shoulder to the top of your space. Awesome. Mindfully release that back foot. Come back with both arms in a number 11 shape. Take your right hand towards your left hand, bend your left knee, grab your left foot with your left hand. And then you're just pausing, still pressing down through that right forearm, pushing down through the top of your right foot, lengthening your buttocks and tailbone back. Nice. One more breath cycle here. And then very mindfully, you'll release that back foot and come back to a Sphinx pose. Lower yourself all the way down onto your belly. And then make sure your feet are hip distance apart, and let's press into the tops of your big toes and your pinky toes. Press down into your pubic bone and lengthen up through your kneecaps. Bring your hands to the back of your head, like, I don't know, I need a new word for this, but you're gonna crawl your elbows forward just a little bit. So the elbows are on the floor and you're gonna crawl them in front of you. Now push down into your feet, press down into your pubic bone and lengthen your tailbone back as you straighten your legs. Next, in breath, start to push your head into your hands into your head, reach your sternum forward, your nose forward, lift your chest up and away from the floor. Keep pressing your feet into the floor, keep lengthening your tailbone back and see if you can lift your chest a little higher by pushing your hands into your head into your hands. Great. Next, exhale, gently lower all the way down. Okay. We'll do that one more time. As you inhale, energize the legs first. As you exhale, engage the abdomen. And then inhale, push the hands into the head into the arms, reach your heart forward to lift up. That's good, Sandy's wife. And then you might find on this time that you'll reach back through the legs so much that you can lift your legs up and away from the floor. And the more you can push hands into head into hands while lengthening tailbone back, we can build muscle in the low back. Great, and exhale, lower down. Bring your hands alongside your lowest ribs. tuck your toes under, energize your legs long. Great. Next, in breath, push down through your hands and your feet, come through chaturanga into plank. And exhale, bend your knees, hips high, downward facing dog. Once you get to down dog, you can straighten the legs as much as you want to, and just take a moment to breathe and notice what you notice. Our connection has to do with finding a sense of authenticity from which we can give, from which we can connect. And sometimes that requires that we first and foremost know what feels good to us. And it's not always easy to know. I feel like very often we're taught at a very young age to do what others want us to do, but not necessarily what brings us joy. It's a fun little experiment. Okay, let's go ahead and bend our knees and sit down. And then we're going to start or end with all the things that we started with. So bring your butt to the floor. And once again, you can start in Dandasana. You can sit on a blanket if you need to, but we're going to bend our right knee in towards our chest. Cross our right leg over. And maybe that left leg stays long and strong, or maybe you bend it and you bring it to the outside edge of your right hip. And just as we did before, you're going to hug that knee into your chest and sit as tall as you can first in vertical. This is our connection to self. And then as you're ready, you'll keep pulling the belly in on the right side. Left rib cage will shift towards the inner right thigh, and you can find that internal rotation. And then maybe swim the right hand back behind you. Maybe swim the left elbow outside of the right knee, but you're letting that unfold from inside. I find that for me, when I am most connected to another person, it's because I've allowed something to blossom from within instead of trying to force something from an external shape. And, that might just be my own idiosyncratic thing, but I think it's true for most of us. And on your next in-breath, gently unwind. Come back through center, and then see if you can stack that right knee on top of the left knee. You might need to extend your left leg long as we did before. Okay, and then this time we'll take a little side bend, this time over to the right. So the last time we went to the left, but this time we'll go over to the right. And you'll notice that the right knee can push down into the left thigh, and you can find more stretch now here along the lower part of your left hip. But again, continue to push down through the right hand to bow the left ribs to the left and soften across your neck. Great. Extend breath. Go ahead and come up to vertical. You'll slide that right knee into you, and then see if you can bring the knee back behind you, back to that deer-shaped figure 4 dancer thing. Hands back behind you again, lift the pelvis up, slide the tailbone forward, and lower yourself down. Now, as we come into this the second time, notice if you want to shift a little bit towards the left shoulder elbow, because that creates sensation there. Notice if you want to go down onto your back. Notice if you want to just push down through the forearms and lift the chest higher, but you're paying attention to what's happening right here, right now, trusting that there are at least 2 other people doing the same shape that you're doing. And then very mindfully, if you're on your back, you'll roll towards your left side. You'll start to push down into the left to come back up to vertical. This time, slight variation. Keep that left knee as it is. Grab your right ankle and send the right ankle out towards the right side. So Sandy, this is one that your hamstrings on the inside are probably not going to like. You might walk that left heel closer to your perineum and remove any of the flesh from the inside edge of the left calf. And then you're just going to hinge forward at the hips. So we haven't done a lot of stuff. So come in between the legs equidistant. So we're not going towards the right leg. We're more like going, there we go, right between both legs. And I want you to just flex through that right foot, push down into the right heel, and breathe deeply into that medial part, the inside edge of your right leg. And you'll notice that if you walk a little bit more to the left until it feels like your legs are split equally, that you'll find more stretch on the inside edge of that long leg. Great. Very mindfully, you'll go ahead and come up. Bend the right knee, extend the left leg, extend the right leg, and you'll sit for a moment in Dandasana and just take a moment to notice if it feels like the spine or anything feels a bit different. And then we'll switch sides. So hug your left knee into your chest, cross your left foot to the outside edge of your right leg, and maybe you swim that right heel to the outside edge of your left hip. If the right leg is long, the foot is still flexed. And then we'll just hug that left knee into our chest as much as we can, trying to descend your left sit bone to the floor as you pull the left thigh to the chest. And for these next series of breaths, continue to evacuate the left rib cage to pull the right rib cage to the inside edge of the left knee. And that just happens almost as an after effect by just pulling the belly in on the left side, and the right rib cage can rotate to the left. And maybe the left hand will come behind you. Maybe the right hand will come outside of the left knee, but you're rotating from the abdomen emptying on the left side and the right rib cage rotating to the left. Nice. Next in breath, gently come back through center. Stack both knees right on top of each other if you can. Maybe the right leg needs to be long and strong. And this time we'll side bend to the left. So the left thigh can push down against the right thigh, push down into the left hand to bow the rib cage out and towards the right. And you'll just pause and you'll breathe. Soften any tension around your shoulders and your neck. See if you can soften your left shoulder a little bit more so it's not hiking up towards the ear. There we go. Next in breath, go ahead and come up to vertical. Hug your left knee into your chest and swim the leg behind you. Cool. Hands come back behind you. Press through the hands, lift the hips, and slide the tailbone forward. Maybe lowering down onto forearms, maybe lowering down onto your back. You might also notice what happens if you turn, you rotate your rib cage a little bit to the right. It just helps you target what's happening on that left quad. And if you're on your back, continue to lengthen buttocks flesh down towards your left knee, tailbone down to your left knee. And you're just pausing and you're breathing. And if you are on your back, you'll start to rotate to your right, push down into the right hand, bring yourself all the way up to vertical. Grab your left ankle with your left hand, hug the knee in, and then send the left leg out to the left. Draw that right knee closer to you, or right heel closer to you, and remove any of the flesh from the back of the knee. And then if our legs are open on this 90-degree angle, you're gonna come in the middle where that 45-degree part would be. Hands might be on blocks, they might be on the floor, the spine might be straight, it might be rounded, but you're breathing on the inside edge of that left leg. Cool, Sandy. See if you can straighten your arms and pull your heart forward. Yep, flex through that left foot even more and isometrically drag that left heel back. How does that feel on the inside edge of that left leg? Okay. And then you'll pause and you'll breathe. And then we'll gently come out of this. So you'll sit back up to vertical, bend your left knee, go ahead and hug it in, send your right leg forward, send your left leg forward. And then bring your hands back behind you. And the fingers can either point in the same direction as your legs, or you can spin the fingers out to the right and the left. It really depends upon what feels better to you. Your feet are about hip distance apart, and then flex through your toes so your toes point back towards your face. Now bend your elbows, hug your elbows towards each other, and start to press your chest towards your thighs. And then inhale, push through your feet, push through your legs, lift your hips high, press down through the hands, hug the elbows towards each other, push down through the index finger, hug the shoulders towards each other, and maybe look up towards the sky. Maybe you contraction the upper chest to look behind you. But when you're ready, you'll slowly lower down. You'll sit nice and tall. And if you can, grab your strap. Okay, unwind your strap, and this is the very last thing we'll do. You're going to make a loop with your strap wide enough to put your legs in. Well, that's not wide enough. So hip distance apart to put your legs in. And then you'll put your legs in the hole of the strap and bring the strap to the belly of your thighs. And then you'll tighten the strap so that your thigh bones stay in alignment with your hip sockets. And I encourage you to scoot forward to the tip of your mat if you feel like you are somewhere in the middle of your mat. And then your hands are going to come forward. You're going to hook your thumbs, curl your tailbone under just a bit, start to push out into your strap and slowly roll down. Keep the pinky toes and the big toes pushing into the floor. Roll through the spine, bone by bone by bone by bone. And when you find yourself all the way down, you'll release your hands. Nice. And then walk your feet in just a bit. Now, once your feet are hip distance apart, notice if you need to walk the feet in or out a little bit so it feels good for your knees. And then push down into the feet, push out to the strap, lift your hips high. Once your hips are high, walk the shoulders underneath you, maybe clasp opposite hands, maybe just push the palms down into the floor. But you'll see if you can wrap the shoulder blades onto the back so your sternum can continue to lift towards your chin. Your chin will draw away from your sternum. And then keep pushing out into that strap. Press down into your big toes and lengthen your buttocks, your tailbone towards your knees. And we'll stay here for about 30 seconds. And you're just activating the backs of your legs, noticing what this feels like. And at the end of your next exhalation, you'll release your hands, you'll untuck your shoulders and bring your pelvis back to the floor. Take a moment to pause and take a moment to breathe. Draw your knees into your chest. Remove your strap. And then just put your left foot on the floor and put your right foot in the strap. And send the right foot up towards the sky. And we're just finding a 90-degree angle here. So there was concern about the low back, and this is one of the greatest things to reset the low back. So you can hold on with both hands or just one hand. The left leg can stay bent or the left leg can extend behind you. But the right leg needs to stay very active, pressing up through the ball of the foot, the big toe mound, the pinky toe mound, pulling all 5 toes towards your face, and trying to keep a 90-degree angle in that right leg. It doesn't have to be close, it just has to be engaged. And then notice if you can soften the tension away from the shoulders, soften any tension in your jaw. And if your left leg is long and strong beneath you, flex through that left foot and push down into the back of the left leg, back of the left calf. Now you've got another 3 to 5 breaths here. And as you're here, see how much you can let go of all the other parts of the body that don't need to work. So the right leg is active, the left leg might be active, but can you soften the breath in the chest? Can you soften the shoulders, any tension in the eyes and the mouth? Cool. You're happy to stay here, or if you'd like, you can externally rotate that right leg and open the right leg to the right and just find a fun little stretch on the inside edge of the right thigh if that feels good to you. Left arm might open out to the left to counterbalance, but you're just pausing and breathing and noticing what that feels like. And then when you're ready, you'll come back up through center. Gently bend that knee into your chest. Remove the strap and plant the right foot on the floor next to the left. I liked that transition there. And then when you're ready, you'll switch sides. So draw the left knee into the chest, put the strap onto the ball of the foot, and send the foot up towards the sky. And this is one of those shapes that's said to be beneficial to hold for at least 2 minutes. So it helps with insomnia, it helps with low back pain, it helps with a bunch of different things. Maybe the right knee stays bent, maybe the right leg stays long, but the left leg stays super active and you're pushing up through the heel, up through the ball of the foot, pulling down through the 5 toes, engaging the quadriceps. So the kneecap is sliding towards the hip as you're lightly pressing the thigh away from the torso. And then notice how much tension is in your hands, how much tension is in the shoulders, and see if you can soften any of that tension that's not needed there. And if that right leg is long, can you press out through your right big toe even more? And roll that inner right thigh to the floor. And then draw the outer left hip forward. A little more. There you go. And then if you'd like, you might open that left leg out to the left. Right arm might open to counterbalance. If the right knee's still bent, notice what happens if you let the right knee open to the right. See if that feels any better in the back of the pelvis and the sacrum. Great. And when you're ready, you'll come back through center. Hug the knee into the chest. Release the strap and plant the foot. Now take a moment to check in and see if there's any final shape or shapes you'd like to take. And then you'll make your way to your final resting pose. And as you come into this final shape, just allow yourself to drop in. Allow the bones to become a bit heavier into the floor. Allow the muscles to soften around the bones. And then notice that as the bones become heavier and the muscles become softer, the breath becomes freer. But all of that is connected, and that by letting go, we can find that deeper sense of connection. By just being present, we can find that deeper sense of connection. And you'll remain like this for a little bit longer, and I'll let you know when it's time to come out. Allow your awareness to return and just notice what you notice. In particular, if you notice you want to hang out here for a few more moments, by all means, just hang out here. continuing to just let the body guide the opening of the breath. When you're ready, you'll start to invite small movement into the body in whatever way feels best to you. Wiggling and yawning and stretching to allow yourself to reawaken to the connection that exists here and now as the breath moves through you. If you're on your back, please stay there as long as you'd like. If you're on your side, gently make your way up to a tall, comfortable seat. When you're vertical, you'll just plant your left hand on your heart, your right hand on your left. Sit as tall as you can and just breathe into the hands. So it's said that our left hand is our receiving hand and our right hand is our giving hand. And you're just receiving your own love, warmth, connection, and you're giving it right back to you. We're allowing ourselves to fill our own cup, to know what brings us joy, brings us peace and happiness, so that we can share that joy, that peace and happiness with others. Thank you for joining me this morning. And we'll close by bringing our hands to heart center and saying that the light within me honors and salutes the light within each of you. Namaste.